Welcome to MathomBooks. My name is Jeremy.
My name's Therese.
She's behind the wheel. We are on our way to go on a New Mexico river adventure to do some whitewater rafting in Taos, New Mexico on the Rio Grande River. We're really excited. But we have recently finished the Fellowship of the Ring, being the first part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And we wanted to tell you guys a little bit about it.
I think the movie's portrayal of Galadriel, to me, felt really different from the book.
Interesting to say how.
Just that, I don't know, I feel like in the movie, she feels a lot more, like, scary and dangerous. And I think, like, of course, she's, like, a powerful elf, like, queen. And so there is an element of, like, I guess, danger or power to her. But, like, I think you see a lot more of her as being, like, beautiful and all that in the book. Beautiful, and like they can feel her heart as like a friend instead of an enemy and things like that. I feel like in the movie it's just she's more like piercing and I don't know, kind of a darker side.
I think that's awesome, sweetie, and you nail something that Jackson gets critiqued for a lot, actually. And actually Tolkien, going all the way back to the 1960s, the early 1960s, in Tolkien's letters, lots of people back then, believe it or not, wanted to make a Lord of the Rings movie. And they approached Tolkien with these ideas, and Tolkien was like, no, like again and again. He said at one point, he felt that the Lord of the Rings was unfilmable. That was what he had said. And one of the reasons is because what a lot of those guys were doing, and it's what Jackson did. Even as much as I love the Lord of the Rings films, which I do, they're good. Jackson did a great job, by and large. But they can't help but fall prey to some of the shortcomings of film, and one of them is what you're touching on, and that is a propensity towards action and power. And that, yeah, kind of that just constant drama, conflict-based stuff. Whereas when you read The Lord of the Rings, and I've said this for a long time, a lot of people have, that's what you get. You get this full, which is really beautiful picture of this Middle Earth that Tolkien's created. You see the beauty in it, the absolute, the wonder, the magic, the kind of the jaw-dropping, immensity of it, and even more, like you said, the subtle kindnesses and love and courageousness and these types of things. That's why I love the relationship between Gimli and Galadriel so much, because that's what Gimli sees. Gimli sees in Galadriel, when Gimli sees Galadriel, he's not, oh my gosh, she's so hot. That's not what it is. Of course, yeah, he's calling her beautiful. He says she's more beautiful than the most beautiful jewels under the earth, right? But he's not saying, oh my gosh, yes, she's beautiful. But what he's really talking about is her whole entirety. Right. She is the most beautiful woman being, exactly, on earth to him, and he's pointing to more of the kindness that she showed and that he saw in those beautiful moments where she was connecting to him. She was sorrowful as well over the loss that the dwarves have had over the years of their beautiful places, because of the rise of evil and other things. And he connected to her heart, right? And that's why he has such a love for her. So it's great. Yeah, and that's really awesome, Tezi. You nailed it. That's so true. And that's why, if you're watching this video right now and you've seen the movies a bunch of times and you're a big Lord of the Rings fan, but you've yet to read the books, get there. You got to do it. Even if you start with the audiobook, it's gorgeous. You have a whole new world that you're not even aware of yet, that you're going to just be blown away by. And it will it's only going to help your understanding and appreciation of the films, I believe. Because I still do love the films. Not the Hobbit films.
Okay, so going off what Jeremy was just saying about like deepening your understanding of the book and
And again, it always goes back to really what a work of genius the Lord of the Rings is. And I mean that in the real sense of the word. You know, the Lord of the Rings, there will never be anything like it ever again. There's going to be great fantasy writers, you know, in the future. There will be other great epic works. You know, the Game of Thrones series is very good. It's very well written. Tons of people love it. There's other great fantasy authors. You know, Patrick Rothfuss, is writing some great stuff with the Name of the Wind series. I'm a big Brandon Sanderson fan. They're great writers. I'm not trying to say they're not. But what Tolkien has done is kind of like, I don't know, it's like, it's once and done. There will be imitations of it. There have been imitations of it. But you just can't approach it because he spent his entire life there's letters and writings extant from when he was in his teenage years, and he's working on Elvish languages, and had poems about the fall of Gondolin all the way until he's in his 60s. People don't realize this. Tolkien was near 60 years old, if not in his early 60s, when The Lord of the Rings was published. So he had spent so many years working on it and had put so much into it, the history, the languages, that it's oozing out, so to speak, as opposed to other authors have to try to put it in. Him, it was just, you couldn't help, in a sense, but make it connected to all these things. And that's what...
Yeah, because it was so complete.
Right.
Like all of it.
Right, in many ways, absolutely. The whole conception.
Yeah, the whole conception, the whole universe, the whole...
Right.
Everything.
Yep. Exactly. And kind of connected to that as well, what I love is things like, I wish I was better at thinking of examples. I need to write things down. But when it would say something like, I don't know, it would state something that seems like it's a fact, and then Tolkien puts on the end, maybe. You know, can you think of an example like that? So I'm not able to find an example of what I was looking for. Tezi has some, what were you saying? Like, what is it like when they say other things they say?
Oh, like, some say that this happened, or it is said in some tales.
Right.
Like
you just get this impression, this sense that, you know, this is a real history compiled by real people who have limited knowledge. And the history is vast, and you know, it's a gigantic myth that spans thousands of years, and this is just a part of it. And so, yeah, some people say, or you know, some have heard tell. I just love that idea that it's almost like what I like about this. I think it just dawned on me. You get the impression, and I think I used to feel this as a young person reading fantasy in general and doing like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, is that you get the sense when reading Tolkien that we might one day discover more. We might one day happen upon in some, you know, library that's been found underground the tale, you know, of, I don't know, you know, the final acts of you know, Tom Bombadil, what he did, you know, in his last days, or whatever, because that you had that sense that there is more out there, there's more story, but it doesn't all fit into here, you know, it's not all in the Lord of the Rings. Tolkien's writing here is just heroic and very, very evocative, so I'll share it with you guys. So they come to the Argonath. Frodo turned and saw Strider, and yet not Strider, for the weather-worn ranger was no longer there. In the stern sat Aragorn, son of Arathorn, proud and erect, guiding the boat with skillful strokes. His hood was cast back, and his dark hair was blowing in the wind. A light was in his eyes, and a king returning from exile to his own land. "Fear not," he said. "Long have I desired to look upon the likenesses of Isildur and Anarion, my sires of old. Under their shadow, Elessar, the Elfstone, son of Arathorn, of the house of Valandil, Isildur's son, heir of Elendil, has naught to dread, right? He's got nothing to be afraid of. He is a king returning to his land. And I just love that, how even Frodo, and you would imagine anybody there, had they looked upon Aragorn, they would have seen this, almost like this magical change. Like we talked about last time when they were in Lothlorien. This glimpse. You get the idea, it's like the Transfiguration, right, in the New Testament. Christ reveals a little bit of his glory, of his true nature, if you will, to the disciples. And here you get a little glimpse. Tolkien provides, here's who Aragorn really is. He's not just this dirty ranger, who happens to be good out in the wild. He is this noble king of old, who is on a mission, who has a, if you will, a divine mission. Pretty cool, pretty impressive stuff. So that's my section I want to talk about.
One thing that I've loved is all of the songs and poetry and lore that's such a part of Middle Earth, and it's in every culture, every race somewhere. The elves probably, I guess, have the most, maybe. I guess it makes sense because they've been there longest. But also the dwarves have their songs and their stories and tales, and even the hobbits, they have songs, and Bilbo and Frodo and Sam write poetry, and the Gondor, they have songs and tales and all that. And I don't know, it's just really cool. It's in almost every chapter, or very often you get songs that tell you history, or that tell you tales, and a lot of times I guess they're explained more after the song. But I don't know, it's just a really cool way of keeping the story alive and the history, and passing it on, I guess.
Yeah, super awesome. I've been struck by that as well. The songs, the poetry have really been more vibrant to me this time around. A lot of it's because we can share it together. I really love that. The song that they sing at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, no, it's not even. Darn. That's in the Two Towers, actually. The song they sing for Boromir, darn it, that's in the Two Towers.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the chapter, The Departure of Boromir. I love that song. It's beautiful. It's so sad. It's solemn. But yeah, it's so true. Music and good.
I was just saying, I guess we even see it not just old songs and stuff that have been passed down, but they're always making new ones. When Gandalf, they're singing new songs before Gandalf, about Gandalf. Yeah. So you kind of see the what's going to be history. You see it being created.
Exactly. So true. Like Sam says later, they're in the middle of a tale.
Yeah. They're
in a tale, right? They don't know how it's going to end yet. Yeah, it's super awesome. Lord of the Rings. There's a reason that it was the #1 selling book, second only to the Bible, of the 20th century. It's an incredible work. We're having a lot of fun with it, and we're very, very thankful that we get to do this and share it with you. We're hoping that you are on your own journey with Lord of the Rings. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this little journey of ours. And that's it. Is there anything else, Tezi, you want to touch on?
That's good.
You sure?
I guess we just mentioned too that we have listened to some of the Tolkien Professors podcasts, which I think are really cool, because it's related to parts that we've already read, and you just get more discussion about it, and more discussion, nice. More answers, more ideas.
Yep.
To go even deeper.
Yeah, we've listened to these are early Tolkien Professor podcasts, where he was still a professor teaching a course on the Lord of the Rings, and we've listened to a couple of the early sections of the earlier chapters of the Fellowship of the Ring. We're not going to go ahead, we're going to stay behind, so we get kind of like a review for us, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's been some good discussions, and that's pretty exciting. Do you guys see why I love this girl? She's pretty awesome. And she drives for the trip, and I can close my eyes. Alright, you guys. Thank you very much. Until next time, find your voice.